In a time long past, when the echoes of the heart resonated deeply, people held on to the tangible memories of their cherished loved ones, preserving their essence through the tokens and keepsakes they had bestowed. These were not mere objects, but sacred vessels of affection, guarding the spirits of those who had passed. In the bustling, sun-drenched city of Damascus, renowned for its ancient souks and fragrant spices, there lived a celebrated merchant named Ibrahim ben Saleh. Among his most treasured possessions was a rare and exquisite ring, a final, poignant gift from his beloved late father. This ring was far more than a simple piece of jewelry. Its intrinsic value was immense, yes, with a unique, sparkling stone that seemed to hold captured light within its depths. But its true worth lay in its profound symbolism. It was a cherished family heirloom, passed down through generations, and for Ibrahim, it represented the very last tangible symbol of his father's enduring love. Every flicker of light from the ring's unique stone served as a constant, vivid reminder, keeping the memories of his father fresh and vibrant in his heart. It was an extension of his soul, and he had sworn to himself that he would never, under any circumstances, part with it. Ibrahim ben Saleh was a man of considerable standing in Damascus. By profession, he was a successful merchant, his reputation built on the trade of exotic spices. His name was whispered with respect not only in the sprawling markets of the city but also in the humble villages nestled in the surrounding countryside. People from all walks of life sought him out, drawn by the quality of his wares and, more importantly, by his unblemished honesty, a virtue that was known far and wide and served as the bedrock of his thriving business. One day, after enduring a particularly long and arduous journey, the dust and fatigue clinging to him like a second skin, Ibrahim yearned for respite. He sought out a famous public bath, or hammam, in the heart of Damascus, known for its soothing waters and tranquil atmosphere. As he prepared to immerse himself in the warm, healing waters, a ritual of relaxation he often enjoyed, he carefully removed the precious ring from his finger. With an instinctive gesture born of habit and reverence, he placed it securely on a small ledge nearby, a spot he always used, before stepping into the steam-filled chamber. The steam enveloped him, washing away the weariness of the road. He lingered, letting the warmth penetrate his aching muscles, his mind drifting in quiet contemplation. But as he emerged, feeling refreshed and renewed, a sudden chill swept through him, colder than any water. His gaze fell upon the empty ledge where he had placed his beloved keepsake. The ring was gone. His heart, moments ago serene, now sank instantly, a leaden weight in his chest. A cold dread coiled in his stomach. He frantically began to search the entire hammam, his eyes darting into every nook and cranny, his hands blindly fumbling through piles of discarded towels and bathing accessories. He combed the marble benches, peered into the steaming basins, and even checked beneath the wooden clogs of other bathers. But the ring was nowhere to be found. A wave of profound distress washed over him, and he sank onto a bench, his mind a whirlwind of fear and disbelief. His gaze, desperate, fell upon one of the bath's attendants, a young man who moved with quiet efficiency. Ibrahim's voice, though strained, was urgent. He quickly asked if anyone had seen the ring, describing it with a feverish intensity. The attendant, his face etched with concern, replied that while Ibrahim was immersed in his bath, a merchant from Herat, a name that would soon become synonymous with hope and despair for Ibrahim, named Zahid, had arrived at the hammam. He had only just departed moments ago. Hearing the name, a fresh wave of alarm, sharper than any physical pain, shot through Ibrahim. His mind raced, connecting the dots with chilling precision. He quickly pressed the attendant, his voice tight with desperation. "Where has Zahid gone?" The attendant, wringing his hands, explained that Zahid had been staying at the local inn since the previous day, but he had no knowledge of his current whereabouts. He might have left the city already. A cold certainty settled in Ibrahim's heart. He knew, with an unshakable conviction, that the ring was with Zahid. The thought was a bitter pill to swallow, yet it ignited a spark of resolute determination within him. He had to go to Herat. Herat, a historic city nestled in the heart of Afghanistan, was an unimaginable distance from Damascus, a journey of many weeks, fraught with peril and uncertainty. But the profound love he held for his father, and the sacred significance of the ring, compelled him to embark on this audacious quest. Without hesitation, Ibrahim entrusted his prosperous business affairs to his most capable and loyal employee, ensuring its continued smooth operation in his absence. With a heavy but resolute heart, he gathered the necessary provisions and set off, his gaze fixed eastward towards the distant city of Herat. The journey to Herat was long and arduous, a test of both endurance and spirit. As Ibrahim traveled, his mind became a relentless battleground of doubts and fears. He kept thinking, again and again, the agonizing question, what if I don't find the ring? The fear was a constant, gnawing presence. He harbored a strong suspicion that Zahid, known in merchant circles as a cunning and opportunistic trader, would undoubtedly keep the ring, perhaps even attempt to sell it. Yet, despite the rising tide of apprehension, Ibrahim did not lose courage. He refused to yield to despair. The thought of his father's face etched in the sparkling stone spurred him onward. Despite the crushing fatigue that weighed down his limbs, the burning sun on his back, and the dust that coated his throat, Ibrahim was grimly determined to recover the ring at all costs. The journey felt endless, each mile stretching into an eternity of hot, desolate landscapes and bone-wearying days. One sweltering afternoon, as he passed near the periphery of a dense, foreboding forest, its ancient trees casting long, ominous shadows, a sudden, terrifying ambush shattered the stillness. A group of fierce bandits burst from the shadows, their faces masked by crude cloth, their intentions clear in their cold, calculating eyes. They brandished glinting swords and an assortment of sharp, intimidating weapons, enough to strike terror into the heart of any seasoned traveler. Greed gleamed unmistakably in their eyes, mirroring the rapacious glint of their blades. Their intentions were unmistakably dangerous, predatory. Eager to strip him of any money and valuables he might possess, they swiftly and brutally robbed him of everything he had. His meager provisions, his traveling cloak, even the few coins he had hidden for emergencies, all were wrenched from him. When they pressed him further, demanding more wealth, their menacing voices laced with threats, Ibrahim, utterly devoid of possessions, truthfully told them that he was a poor merchant, and they had taken his last coin. He had nothing left to give. The bandits, however, their minds clouded by their own insatiable greed, did not believe him. They suspected he was holding out, hiding. More, enraged by his supposed defiance, they seized him, binding his hands and feet. They took him captive, dragging him roughly to a small, isolated village, a wretched place hidden deep within the desolate terrain, which served as their lair. Now, Ibrahim's condition truly plunged into the depths of misery. On one side, the gnawing sorrow of having lost the precious ring, his last link to his father, consumed him. On the other, his once thriving business lay disrupted, its future uncertain without his guiding hand. But above all, he, Ibrahim ben Salah, the respected merchant of Damascus, had been reduced to a servant, a slave, forced to perform arduous, back-breaking labor for his cruel captors. For what felt like endless months, Ibrahim endured a life of unrelenting hardship and brutal oppression. Each dawn brought a fresh round of forced labor hauling heavy stones, tending to their meager livestock, or repairing their dilapidated shelters. Despite the relentless toil and the constant threat of violence, every waking moment was filled with an unyielding yearning for freedom, a fervent prayer for deliverance. Then, a glimmer of hope pierced the oppressive darkness of his captivity. One day, the bandits, in a brazen and successful raid, looted a wealthy caravan, obtaining a vast array of valuable goods, glittering silks and brimming sacks of coins. Overjoyed by their newfound riches, they decided to celebrate their triumph. That night, the air in their wretched village hummed with raucous laughter, drunken shouts, and the clinking of crude mugs. They drank heavily, their guards lax, their minds clouded by strong spirits. Seeing this opportune moment, a sliver of hope in the suffocating darkness, Ibrahim's heart pounded with a surge of adrenaline. He knew this was his chance. Quietly, stealthily, he moved through the drunken haze, approaching the bandit, who typically held the key to his shackles, a brute, snoring loudly with the heavy iron key dangling from his belt. With agonizing slowness, he reached out, his fingers trembling ever so slightly, and with the utmost care, stole the key without making a sound. The cold metal in his hand felt like a promise of freedom. With practiced efficiency, he successfully unlocked his shackles, the metallic click echoing deafeningly in his ears, though unheard by the intoxicated bandits. His heart thrumming, Ibrahim then moved towards their makeshift stables. He silently stole a horse, a lean, powerful beast, its eyes wide in the gloom. He flung himself onto its back, a desperate plea for escape on his lips. However, destiny, it seemed, was not yet done testing him. The horse, unaccustomed to his touch and perhaps startled by the urgency of his escape, proved to be wild and uncontrollable. Ibrahim's troubles, it seemed, were far from over. The powerful animal bucked and reared, throwing him off its back multiple times along the treacherous path. He landed hard, scraping his knees, bruising his ribs, but each fall only intensified his resolve. He would not lose courage now, not when freedom was so close. Despite the crushing exhaustion that threatened to overwhelm him, the searing pain from his injuries, and the relentless hardships of his harrowing escape, he finally, miraculously, reached the distant city of Herat. His clothes were tattered, his body a map of scrapes and bruises, but his spirit, though battered, remained unbroken. Upon reaching Herat, however, his physical condition worsened drastically. The accumulated trauma, the starvation, the injuries from his escape, all converged. His strength gave out completely. He staggered through the unfamiliar streets for a short distance before his legs buckled beneath him, and he collapsed unconscious in the shaded garden of a stranger woman's home. He lay there, still and vulnerable, under the blazing sun. When the woman, a kind and compassionate soul, discovered Ibrahim in his wounded and lifeless state, her heart immediately went out to him. Without hesitation, she carried him gently into her humble home, and with tender care, began nursing him back to health. She cleaned his wounds, applied soothing poultices, and ensured he was fed nourishing broths. After several days of her dedicated care and treatment, Ibrahim slowly but surely began to recover, his strength gradually returning. As his strength steadily returned, Ibrahim found himself overwhelmed with gratitude for the kindness he had received. He sincerely thanked the woman from the bottom of his heart, his voice hoarse with emotion, pledging that he would never forget her compassion. With a renewed sense of purpose, he then set out into the bustling, labyrinthine streets of Herat, his singular mission to search for Zahid and with him, his precious ring. With a firm, unwavering resolve to retrieve the cherished keepsake, Ibrahim embarked on his tireless quest. He combed through the narrow, winding alleys, delved into the clamoring markets filled with exotic goods, and frequented the aromatic coffee houses, their air thick with the scent of roasted beans and lively conversation. Everywhere he went, he made discreet inquiries about Zahid, describing him in detail to anyone who would listen. But his efforts were met with frustrating silence or vague, unhelpful answers. No one seemed to know Zahid, or at least, no one was willing to admit it. Several days melted into a continuous, exhausting blur of searching, his hopes rising and falling with each new encounter. Disheartened and weary, Ibrahim finally sought refuge in a quiet corner of a bustling coffee house, hoping to find a moment of peace and alleviate his crushing fatigue in the tranquil surroundings. He ordered a cup of steaming tea, the warmth a small comfort against his despair. The observant owner of the coffee house, a man with kind eyes and a keen understanding of human suffering, noticed Ibrahim's troubled expression and the deep lines of worry etched on his face. He approached Ibrahim, his voice gentle, and asked who he was searching for with such intensity. Ibrahim, feeling a sudden, unexpected surge of trust, poured out his entire story, recounting the loss of his ring and his desperate search for the elusive Zahid. The owner listened with rapt attention, nodding occasionally, his expression thoughtful. When Ibrahim finished, a flicker of recognition crossed his face. He then told Ibrahim, his voice calm and clear, that Zahid had indeed been in Herat, a frequent customer of his establishment, but he had recently departed. And then, he delivered the crucial piece of information that reignited Ibrahim's spirit. Zahid had now gone to Kandahar. Hearing this unexpected news, a surge of fresh hope, potent and invigorating, coursed through Ibrahim's veins. Kandahar, while still a considerable distance, felt within reach. He immediately decided to continue his relentless pursuit. Without delay, he settled his bill and began his journey anew. After several more days of relentless travel, enduring the dust and heat, he finally arrived in the vibrant, sprawling city of Kandahar. Here, the search began once more, as he tirelessly scoured its bustling markets and labyrinthine alleys, his eyes scanning every face, his ears straining for any mention of Zahid's name. Amidst the vibrant bustle of Kandahar, Ibrahim still clung fiercely to the hope of finding his ring. But just like in Herat, the search was far from easy. Days turned into weeks of continuous effort, his persistence a testament to his unwavering determination. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of fruitless inquiries, he received a definitive piece of information about Zahid at a busy inn. The innkeeper, a garrulous man with a knack for knowing everyone's business, told him that Zahid was indeed a well-known spice trader in Kandahar, renowned for possessing valuable and exotic goods. Hearing this concrete detail, Ibrahim's belief solidified into absolute certainty. Zahid was undeniably the one who had his father's ring. The knowledge settled a heavy weight in his heart, replacing nagging doubt with steely resolve. Ibrahim thanked the innkeeper profusely, his voice filled with renewed determination, and once again set out into the crowded streets of Kandahar, now with an even more focused intensity to retrieve his lost possession. His tireless efforts and heartfelt prayers eventually bore fruit. He spotted Zahid, unmistakable with his distinctive appearance, in a bustling spice shop, deeply engrossed in his trade, his back to Ibrahim. The moment Ibrahim saw Zahid's familiar face, a wave of profound certainty washed over him. He knew instinctively that he was now incredibly close to achieving his goal. He entered the shop, his steps firm, and approached Zahid. His voice, though filled with emotion, was calm and respectful as he spoke to Zahid about the ring, humbly requesting him to return it. Zahid, upon hearing Ibrahim's words and seeing the familiar face from the hammam, let out a loud, mocking laugh, a jarring sound in the quiet spice shop. He scoffed, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, that ring? I had put it away and completely forgotten about it." He paused, a cruel smirk playing on his lips, enjoying Ibrahim's palpable tension. Then, to Ibrahim's immense relief, he added casually, "But yes, the ring is still in my possession." Hearing this confirmation brought an overwhelming sense of relief to Ibrahim. The ring was safe, his father's memory preserved. However, Zahid's mocking behavior and dismissive tone also cut him deeply, a wound to his dignity. Despite the sting, Ibrahim closed his eyes for a brief moment, offering a silent, heartfelt prayer to Allah, asking that he might soften this cunning merchant's heart and guide him to return the precious ring with grace. After much pleading, humility, and earnest persuasion, Zahid, clearly enjoying the power dynamics, finally brought out the ring. He held it up, letting its unique stone catch the light, before finally handing it over to Ibrahim. As he returned it, Zahid chuckled again, a wry, mocking sound. "If you hadn't come all this way," he quipped, "I would have sold this ring already. But let's consider this my hospitality to you." Ibrahim took the ring, its familiar weight a comfort in his palm, and breathed a deep, shuddering sigh of relief, silently thanking Allah from the very depths of his heart. The joy of having it back eclipsed the sting of Zahid's arrogance. Despite Zahid's taunting attitude, Ibrahim, true to his noble character, thanked him kindly and in an act of unexpected grace, even offered him his hand in friendship. This simple gesture, born of Ibrahim's unwavering honesty and excellent character, surprisingly managed to win Zahid's heart. On one hand stood Ibrahim, a sincere and hardworking merchant, his integrity shining bright. On the other was Zahid, a man notorious for his cunning ways and sharp, often dishonest, dealings. Yet, between these two starkly different personalities, an unlikely friendship blossomed, tentative at first, then growing stronger with each passing day. A bond that, against all odds, eventually transformed into a family tie. Zahid had a beautiful daughter, known for her grace and kindness. In due course, Ibrahim, drawn by her gentle spirit and perhaps by the deepening connection with Zahid, married Zahid's beautiful daughter. Living in Ibrahim's constant, virtuous company, witnessing his unwavering honesty and deep faith, Zahid began a profound transformation. He completely changed the course of his life. He genuinely and sincerely repented from his past ways of theft and deceit, choosing, instead, the path of unwavering honesty. With time, Zahid, once known for his cunning, became the most prominent and respected spice trader in the region, his reputation now built on integrity. And in a beautiful testament to their bond, he continued to purchase all his spices exclusively from Ibrahim. Zahid's reform business not only flourished and became famous in his own city of Kandahar, but also through their strong partnership, helped Ibrahim's trade grow many times over. Their honesty, their unique partnership, and their shared commitment to ethical trade not only reached as far as the distant city of Sharikpur but also became a shining example for others to emulate, a beacon of integrity in the world of commerce. Part 4. Lessons learned. This remarkable story teaches us very important and profoundly valuable lessons that can guide us towards a better, more fulfilling life. We often fail to realize how the difficulties and challenges we face in life can ultimately become a source of immense benefit. What initially appears as an insurmountable obstacle or a profound loss often harbors hidden opportunities for growth, resilience, and unexpected blessings. The most crucial lesson of all: never lose hope during hardships. Even in the darkest valleys of despair, when all seems lost, clinging to hope is paramount. I hope you not only enjoyed this story, but also learned some valuable life lessons from it. If you'd like to hear more such old and fascinating stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Like this video, and if possible, share it with your friends so these stories can reach more people. And if you liked this story, do share your thoughts in the comments.